Reuters reports Facebook briefly blocked his Shabbat after Israeli election authorities said it broke the rules by publishing poll data. Netanyahu downplayed the violation, but the party removed the polls and promised authorities not to post them again during the election. One former prime minister of Israel, a member of the opposition Labor Party, says the future of Israel's identity is at stake. The election could have an impact on prospects for peace between the Israelis and Palestinians. The White House plans to release the political side of its peace plan after the vote. But Netanyahu's campaign promises to annex part of the West Bank, and that plan could complicate things. And an economic component of a peace plan earlier this year got a chilly reception among Arab countries and the Palestinians. Over the weekend, President Trump said he spoke with Netanyahu about the possibility of a mutual defense treaty between the U.S. and Israel. The president did not elaborate, saying it could be discussed after the Israeli election. Such a pact could formally obligate the U.S. to come to Israel's defense in case of an attack. A formal treaty would have to be approved by the U.S. Senate. I talked about the Israeli elections with Dr. Jonathan Schanzer. He's the Senior Vice President for Research with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Now, Netanyahu's biggest challenger is Benny Gantz, so I started our conversation by asking Dr. Schanzer what Netanyahu's chances are looking like and whether either candidate can form a government.
So I would say right now it looks like it's about a 50-50, which is really what it was back in April. They're polling right around the same numbers that they had been polling back in April. The final results of that, led to a tie, basically a dead heat. And I think that's likely where we're heading now. Both of them are still likely to get in the low 30s in terms of their mandate. And of course, they needed to hit 61 seats within Israel's parliament, the Knesset, in order to form a coalition. So they're going to need partners. They refuse to partner with one another, which is going to make it harder. They're going to need to work with smaller parties. And some of these parties are making very, very large demands, which will make it harder to form a coalition.
Is there a sense of election fatigue in Israel with the previous election in April? And if so, which candidate would that benefit?
There absolutely is some fatigue. Both sides are actually warning about low voter turnout and trying to make sure that their bases are energized today. We've already seen some reports from both sides on this. It is a bit of Groundhog's Day right now in Israel. I mean, they went through this already once. They're going through it again. The numbers look basically the same. So, of course, there's some fatigue. It's expensive. It's time consuming. And, of course, they're being inundated in Israel with messages on TV, radio, print, and beyond. As to who this benefits, it's really hard to tell. I do get the sense that the longer Benny Gantz has been on the stump, the better the learning curve it's been for him. That's on the one side. But on the other side, you have Netanyahu, who has been very active on the world stage, and he continues to tout his accomplishments, which, of course, there have been more since the last election. So, again, I think it leads us right back to that place that feels like a dead heat. The guy that I look for, by the way, to try to break this deadlock is President Reuven Rivlin. His job, actually, is to pick the best candidate to form the coalition and also to try to help nudge it along. So I think this is a man who doesn't want to see third elections in Israel and will probably look for more creative solutions this time around.
During his campaigning, Netanyahu has made some pretty bold promises, including he's vowed to annex all of the West Bank. What do you make of his strategy?
Well, a lot of people say a lot of things during elections, and I'm not sure that Netanyahu will be able to do what he claims he wants to do in the West Bank. He's certainly appealing to a certain kind of voter. I would say, right of center religious voters. I think that's who he's trying to appeal to there. And I think he's trying to take some of those votes away from maybe one of the other smaller right-wing parties. But the likelihood of him being able to do that now, I think, is low. I do think it's interesting, though. I mean, the Israelis have long talked about the Jordan Valley, which makes up the bulk of what he was looking to annex. What'll be interesting is to see whether this plan has legs after this election, whether people continue to talk about it, raise it with the Americans when they come here to the White House. That's the kind of thing that it could take on a life of its own months or years from now once it's in play.
Dr. Jonathan Schanzer, thanks for coming on and taking the time. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
In a quick correction, I said that Netanyahu has vowed to annex all of the West Bank. He actually wants to annex all of the settlements in the West Bank. My apologies. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Hong Kong's leaders try to find a new way to restore peace after months of protests. Austin Kim breaks down how they're trying to...
Are there problems associated with oil and gas? Certainly. But our country runs off of energy, natural gas and oil.
No drills, not in our neighborhoods. It will never be safe.
Ever since I was little, I'd open the fridge and see a world of possibilities. Finding ways to bring people together, that's a revolutionary act. This